My hope is not in riches, but in Him who richly provides. Your devotion to God is illustrated, demonstrated, and authenticated by your love for others. If the version of Christianity you're familiar with doesn't strike you as good news, it may be the wrong version. Success is remaining faithful to the process God has laid out for you. What breaks your heart is part of a divine design to bring change. God's extravagant generosity toward us compels us to be extravagantly generous toward others. Your greatest accomplishment may not be something you do, but someone you raise. Next generation leaders are those who would rather challenge what needs to change and pay the price than remain silent and die on the inside. Lord, give me the wisdom to know what's right and the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. Will I allow my fear to bind me to mediocrity? The greatest motivator of change is a crystal clear vision of what the future should look like. Direction, not intention, determines your destination. Serving people with different lived experiences is one of the primary things God uses to fine-tune our worldview and mature our faith. Less cover-up, more owning up, less just like, more Christ-like. Your friends will determine the quality and direction of your life. Miracles are at God's discretion to accomplish God's purposes. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. If your belief allows you to mistreat people, you're misbelieving as well as misbehaving. Vision is a mental picture of what could be, fueled by a passion that it should be. The value of a life is always measured by how much of it is given away. Leadership is stewardship. It's temporary, and you're accountable. Whenever there is fear, there is opportunity. When there is great fear, there is great opportunity. Your irresponsibility will eventually become someone else's responsibility. We don't drift into good directions. We discipline and prioritize ourselves there. Our behavior eventually reflects the condition of our hearts. Greed is not a financial issue. It's a heart issue. Jesus is the hope of the world, and the local church is the vehicle of expressing that hope to the world. When your memories exceed your dreams, the end is near. Jealous leaders measure their success by the failure of others. Leaders who refuse to listen will eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing helpful to say. Leadership is not always about getting things done right. Leadership is about getting things done through other people. Giving up something now for something better later is not a sacrifice. It is an investment. Priority determines capacity. Where there's no progress, there's no growth. If there's no growth, there's no life. Environments void of change are eventually void of life. If we want to reach the people that no one else is reaching, we've got to do things that no one else is doing. Creating breathing room financially may lower your standard of living, but raise your quality of life. Forgiveness does not release us from our responsibility for our past. God's grace and forgiveness are why we take responsibility for our past. Greed is the assumption that it is all for my consumption. Past boldness is no assurance of future boldness. Boldness demands continual reliance on God's Spirit. You make peace with your past by owning your piece of the past. There is no cramming for a test of character. It always comes as a pop quiz. At the end of the day, God's love for me, for you, and for the world is settled at the cross. If you feed an appetite, it grows. Satisfying an appetite does not diminish it, it expands it. To diminish an appetite, you have to starve it. You have no idea what hangs in the balance of your decision on what to do with the burden God put in your heart. One of the most difficult tasks of visioneering is distinguishing between good ideas and God ideas. Leadership isn't making all the decisions. It is making sure the right decisions are made. The church is a family expecting guests. The more conscious I am of the work God has yet to do in me, the less critical I am about what He has yet to do in you. The church must stop expecting outsiders to act like insiders, while insiders act like outsiders. Jesus did not come to strike a balance between grace and truth. He brought the full measure of both. What God originates, God orchestrates. Everything now will prepare you for the next step. Don't run from adversity. Lean into it with all your heart, and God will make you a leader worth following. Fixing things requires change, and change always creates conflict. But that is why you are a leader. In leadership, there are always problems to be solved and tensions to be managed. When you try to solve a tension, you create a problem. Dreamers dream about things being different. Visionaries envision themselves making a difference. God uses broken-hearted leaders. Here's something to think about. If God appeared to you and asked, "Why should I let you into heaven?" how would you answer? Learning never takes place while you're talking. Courage is essential to leadership. Divine direction begins with unconditional submission. Guilt rarely results in positive behavior, but gratitude? Great things flow from a heart of gratitude. Every generation and culture has its own definition of masculinity, but the perfect definition is found in Jesus of Nazareth.